So hi guys, so as you can see here we have an update for RAW, and this happened on the 10th or even maybe the 9th, late at night, of August 2023. So that RAW update there might not just be for the A6700, but it may be for some other cameras that are newish as well. But basically there's the update. I also had Premiere Pro, and there's Bridge update as well, obviously, which helps, and media encoder as well, and just watching that update. So basically now we can literally open the raw images in Adobe Raw. I use Photoshop, I don't use Lightroom, but if you use Lightroom it's now available as well, and off we go to have a little mess around. We have RAW from the A6700 now from Adobe. So yesterday it got released. I just thought I'd use it a few times just to over the night to basically to make sure it performed properly and didn't crash or anything like that. So yeah, works well. Got a B shot here, as you can see there, where I'd actually underexposed it a bit. Well, actually not on purpose. You can see it's ISO 400. This is already huge, quite a huge cropping if I'm looking at that. I mean, that's the original image. Obviously when you start to crop in, you start to see the pixelation a little bit there, because it's only 26 megapixels. So there we go. That's, I mean, it looks, if you left it as a full shot it'd be totally fine, but if we're starting to push it, we can now use the denoise function, and it should just make it a little bit cleaner in that area. So we'll leave it at about 30%. Let it do its thing. Sure. Take a moment, and here come my messages for the day. And this is the renewed one, so a little bit cleaner. But there we go. So we have a decent image that we can utilize. So as you can see there, back before I'd open this image, you can see that I'd opened a few, but anyway, you can see this produces sharp images. I mean, like we know, all cameras out there now are extremely good. I utilize the insect tracking system, autofocus system, and it works quite well. Sometimes it gets a little bit confused, sometimes it jumps onto a flower. Next minute it's not really in focus. I don't know 100% yet what is really possible with it. I shot this with that shot there with the 135G master, and this shot here is as close as I could get on the minimum focus, so that's about 70 centimeters from the subject with the 135G master, which equates to a 202mm lens on the A6700. So you do gain a little bit by a little bit of an automated crop, obviously. So there we go. It the shallow depth of field, even shooting at f5.6, which obviously gave me not a bad shot, but it's still not sharp here. I needed to shoot probably f8 to get enough in focus. As you can see, it drops off very quickly. But you know, it's not the end of the world. It's not the worst shot in the world. But experimentation, this is what you've got to do. So I'm obviously showing you videos where I've been out and about, and I'm going to show you the ones that aren't perfect, because at the end of the day it's real world. I'm not going to show you every single perfect shot, because you know, I'd maybe have ditched a couple of hundred that aren't perfect, you know. So there we go. That one's doesn't need much into it. I've already looked at it. What else we've got here? We have more bees and things. I was hoping to see a dragonfly, but they were around earlier in the day, but unfortunately they didn't materialize again, which was a shame. So that's the trouble when you've got quite large magnification lenses like the 135, which people think that's not very high magnification, but it's a telephoto lens, so anything sort of, I'd say 100 and above, your depth of field is compromised a little bit, especially as you go close to things. So you know, you've got to stop your lens down to be able to get the right depth. So if you can't shoot, I mean, if I shot that shot there in shot now at f1.8, we'd have maybe one flower in focus and the rest would be mega out of focus. I mean, it's probably less than that. If you look at this picture here, when you've got this flower at the front, that's out of focus. This flower's in focus, this flower's in focus, and then everything else is gone. So even at f5.6, so maybe even f13, I'd probably have to get in to get him properly in shot. Oh, I've got fish. I photographed some fish coming to the surface. And also did some slow motion video as well, which I'll stick at the end of the video just so you can have a little watch with the 240 frames a second. There we go. Fish eye autofocus. No, doesn't work. I always click the auto levels and then bring it back down, because normally sometimes it gets it right, but then a lot of the time it doesn't. Obviously we focus this area here, there you can see, and I'm shooting f3.2, but I'm a bit of a distance away. A couple of petals there from plants. His eyes aren't particularly sharp, but then he's underwater as well. So yeah, and it's quite a big fish, to be fair. But yeah, there we go. We have fish focusing. What else did we have? I did have a picture of a goat eating. Where did that go? He was having a munch on some grass. And I'll tell you what, the autofocus works on literally pretty much every animal now. Where the Sonys were a little bit fussy, it was focusing on every single horse that I photographed as well, from black to white, with no real drama. You might see these are slightly underexposed, and I'm shooting at ISO 200 and 3200 for a second. For some reason, I have no idea. Camera's in manual, but obviously we have a lot of dynamic range there, so we can bring it up quite easily without any worries really whatsoever. I think it's where I just turned around. I was shooting the butterflies and bees, and I've turned around and not really thought about my shutter speeds. So simple little things like that can make a huge difference. I really should have been back down to 1,000th of a second or something, and drop the ISO and probably stop down slightly, because his nose is not sharp, but his eyes are pretty good. So there we go. Yeah, it's cool. It's a very, very good camera. I'm very pleased so far with using it, but I just thought I'd show you guys. Now we have the RAW update that we can actually open the RAWs, and that makes the motion and fluid of photo editing and processing much easier now, because Sony Imaging Edge is okay. You don't have the control that you've got in Photoshop, Lightroom and all that sort of stuff. So this is, and it just works better. So these really do help when you are, you know, changing your settings and stuff like that, and adjusting stuff's really quick and easy compared to the Imaging Edge, which was okay. I used it a few times, but then I just basically started shooting JPEGs because it was easier. But yeah, so anyway, don't forget to click the subscribe button, little notification bell as well. There'll be some more videos coming very soon. I'm out filming today. I filmed it a little bit yesterday, so more videos coming soon. RX10 as well, if anybody's watching. More videos coming with that. And I was out with the A1 last night doing some low light stuff as well. So in fact I did have the A6700 with me as well, so there'll be a bit of a, not comparison, but there'll be a few shots from both cameras there, shooting with the 14mm Sigma f2.8 DNDG, whatever it is nowadays, the new one. Yeah, that's it, so catch you later. So just a quick look at some of the slow motion. It's 240 frames a second, so 8 times slow-mo. And I just love it. I love slow motion. With the RX10 Mark IV, you can do it up to 1,000 frames a second, but you need really good light for that. And it is upscaled, so it's not brilliant, but 500 frames a second is pretty nice, as is 240 or 250. A grasshopper fell into the, or jumped into the water. I don't know if it did it on purpose or if it was, I don't know. But anyway, it apparently doesn't break the water tension, so it was just sitting on the top trying to swim. I just spotted it. I was like, oh, that's bizarre, but never seen that happen before. Anyway, there we go, it's on video. The fish were quite amusing to watch, and the fact that, you know, this happens in a split second when you see them do that and they're gone. the fact we can slow it down by 8 times, it works really nicely. So that's really cool. And one reason I bought the A6700 was because it can do 4K 120 and 240 frames a second with autofocus, which the A1 does as well. So for me, it gives me 2 options and 2 angles of use with those cameras. And obviously I can bring in the RX10 as well for some other stuff. So I've got 3 high-speed cameras as such, to be able to do some interesting angles of view and things like that on video. So yeah, fish trying to eat there and trying to steal his food, but he got it. But anyway, one more, a butterfly doing a little bit of a takeoff in a second. But it's just interesting because you can just appreciate the wildlife and stuff a bit more. I think if you can slow stuff down, birds in flight, which it does struggle with in the autofocus side of things. I noticed that it can't stay on it as well. But at the end of the day, it's filming at God knows what speed, and also it's trying to stay with them. You can do it, but it's not as perfect. But anyway, that be it, guys. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, little notification bell as well. Very much appreciated if you do. And there'll be more videos coming very, very soon. And I'll see you soon.